Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing? So we got a couple of things to talk about. First of all, I want to make an update. It's rumored that the GameCube controller that's paywalled, so paywalled basically means that if you don't pre-order this GameCube controller only on Nintendo's site, you can't buy it anywhere. Yeah. Also, the price is rumored to be $64.99. The GameCube controller only works on the online service, supposedly. And that is very interesting because I don't know what they did to make the controller only work on GameCube. It's almost like they intentionally made it only work on GameCube because people actually would have had fun using the GameCube controller for other things. Isn't it funny? So I've been seeing something very interesting online. Um, Check this out. Sorry. I don't know if you can see that. That's Pokemon blue, red, and yellow. Now, you want to know why that's ironic? People are basically saying we're complaining about the Switch 2 price and the games being 80, right? But we're willing to pay 3,000. No, no. It doesn't work that way, okay? Take this from a loyal customer. It's Nintendo being greedy. They are using emulation. There is no reason why Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, and Crystal, and Gold, and Silver, and I can go on and on. They can easily add it to their subscription service anytime they want. It's just emulation. It's a ROM. You drag and drop. Nintendo is being greedy. They have always hogged their IPs. Always, right? There's no reason why Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow aren't on the Switch Online. They dictate what you can and can't play. They dictate what you can and can't buy. Okay? So if people are buying these old games at $3,000, it's because Nintendo isn't providing it, you morons. And I got news for you, okay? I have been a loyal customer to Nintendo. Sorry, I'm mad. Does everybody forget the virtual console that it existed? So let me explain what virtual console was. You paid one price and you owned the game forever until your system broke. You didn't need an online subscription service to be able to play it. You didn't need activation over Wi-Fi. It was just a game and you were able to play it and you owned it. And that's what's the problem with Nintendo. They don't want you to own anything when it comes to digital because in their eyes, digital is you're borrowing their software. You got that? When you accept terms of service, right? And they take $40 for each 3DS Pokemon game. $40 isn't cheap. And it adds up because I had multiple 3DS games. So you think you're not going to get burned with this game ID card? You think when Switch 2 eShop store shuts down that stupid game key card wasn't a scam and that it's worthless? It's just a ID key. But guess what? The ID key can't authenticate. That's why they did it. You only need to authenticate it once, right? Well, with these stupid digital games on the Switch 1, you have to authenticate the Wi-Fi every single time. Every single time. That's what's wrong with the digital future. These companies want you to own nothing and like it. They want to take all your money and then take away your ability to re-download it, so you have to rebuy it in 5 to 10 years later for the same exact price. That's why these companies are doing this. And if not, more insult to injury, you aren't just paying 50 to who knows whatever variable pricing they decide for these game key cards, but you're also paying for the storage. And then the storage costs more because it's only express. You game companies got greedy. You don't care about the customers, but we made you. We made you who you are. Do you not understand that? And anyone buying this is getting scammed. Nintendo are scammers anyway because they didn't tell us the price on purpose. They were being deceptive, or they thought we were idiots. You're going to regret that, Nintendo. Mark my words. You are going to regret that. Maybe these idiots that are rich will just buy it, but a lot of people that you backstabbed that were loyal to you for 40 plus years aren't gonna buy it. I refuse to buy the Switch 2 and the enhanced games and the scam ID cards. And I got news for you. You're ripping off not only your customers, but you're ripping off GameStop. You're ripping off all the stores that are gonna accept trade-ins. Because, and I warned GameStop. I messaged them personally because I actually like GameStop. I messaged them. I said, don't get scammed by Nintendo. Don't get scammed. Because when the shop closes, those game ID cards are useless. So not only did you scam the customers, not only did you scam the families that's never had a Switch before, but you also scammed the companies, GameStop and everybody else that's stupid enough to accept the trade-ins. I am so unbelievably mad at how greedy Nintendo is. I knew you were greedy, but I didn't know you were this greedy. And maybe I'll give you a pass. Maybe it's that idiot Doug Bowser from EA that's former vice president of EA and how greedy EA is. And maybe that's what's ruining Nintendo. But I'm not only going to blame Doug Bowser. There's other people behind this that know that the price was insane. And they know that everybody wants Mario Kart World. Everybody wants Pokemon. Well, I got news for you. You're loyal customers, right? They shouldn't have to pay for an upgrade. So let me get this straight. I invested in your Switch 2. I was a loyal customer. I bought every freaking Switch you ever released. And you can't even give me an upgrade to play the Switch 2 the way it's supposed to be. You greedy. We should not have to pay for upgrades for a system. We're getting punished. That's how I feel. We're getting punished. I'm not getting punished because I'm not buying it. I'm not buying your Switch. I already made it very clear I'm not buying your Switch 2. We're getting punished. Instead of a 74, whatever you have, billion-dollar company, you can't even give an upgrade for the performance of the Switch 2 when we're shelling out how much money for this system? I hate you with a passion. I was mad about Virtual Console. And let's talk about Virtual Console. If Nintendo shut down the Wii U, and the 3DS, what makes you think they're not going to shut down the Switch 1 eShop store? They're not going to care because the families that didn't ever have a Switch, it's not going to affect them. It's only going to affect you loyal customers. You're going to lose everything you bought digitally on the Switch 1 unless they do some program where they're like, oh, we're going to transfer your Switch 1 downloads. Well, it'll cost you money. Don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if this greedy company figures out a way to transfer your Switch 1 eShop games to the Switch 2, but you have to pay. I wouldn't be surprised. Why would I be surprised? Nintendo's greedy like that. Nintendo is showing their greed. And anyone that is rich and just buying it and doesn't care what price is, you're ruining the video game industry. And AAA developers are ruining the video game industry because not all your games AAA are good. So we're paying more for less. And that seems to be something that the companies love. Think about your beautiful iPhone, right? You paid $1,000. You mean to tell me the company couldn't even give you a power brick? I paid $1,400 for my gaming laptop. It doesn't come with a disk drive. It didn't even come with a cheap webcam. I paid $1,400 for what? Sorry. All right, I'll calm down. My point is, these companies are getting away with murder. They're giving you less while you pay more. The only one getting screwed is you. It's not these companies. And for all these Nintendo shills that want to defend Nintendo, they have 74 plus billion dollars. I'm not going to feel sorry for them. Oh, boo-hoo. Nintendo is, making a lost profit on each Switch 2. I don't care. You got billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. Can take. You can take it, right? And you'll still be making a profit. That's the thing that makes me so mad. If Nintendo said, we hear you, we want to make it more affordable for families, we'll drop it by 10, right? The $80 games. I would respect that. But no, instead, I'm going to tell you what variable pricing is. Ready? Variable pricing isn't, oh, Nintendo's going to decide this is 60 and that's 80. No. My variable pricing, right, is some things will be 80 and maybe 100. Instead of lowering it, they're going to increase it. They're not going to say, oh, you know what? We care about the loyal customers. Instead, this game should be 60. No, they're going to say, oh, we believe that the development cost, it's worth 80. If you were a company, you'd sell your stuff lower than what you know your profit that you can make? No. I hope a video game crash happens. I'm serious. I really do. Because I think that we've gotten to a point where these companies don't care about their loyal customers and they forgot the customer's always right. Remember that? The customer comes first. Remember that? They forgot it. You know why they forgot it? Because at one point, they were so disrespectful to us and we just accepted it. And I'll tell you what, if you accept abuse, it gets worse and worse and worse. If you just buy systems and video games at any price they want, obviously they're going to say, wow, everybody wants Mario Kart World. Well, we'll add a couple of DLC and then charge 100 because we already know everybody's going to buy it because they bought it at 80 even though they complained. I'm tired of complaining about prices but still buying it. I'm tired of it. I'm not. I'm a video game protester and I'm not buying video games. And I'm going to watch and see how the industry goes down the tubes. My favorite hobby that just was fun became a luxury. Oh, and by the way, another thing, you Nintendo shills, I notice a pattern. We're poor, we're poor, we're poor. Do you think that cheap people don't exist? Did cheap people just, no one's cheap anymore? It used to be an insult. Oh, you're so cheap. Cheap people exist. And to be honest, I'm learning how to manage my money. I'm becoming cheap. So I'm not poor. I'm cheap. I'm cheap. Cheap, 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 cheap. I'm cheap. If I feel your game isn't worth what you think it is, I ain't paying for it. Why should I? I have a gun to my head forcing me to buy this? No, I don't. I have a choice. I'm either going to let them be disrespectful to me and buy it, or I'm going to stand up for what I believe and not buy it and save money. Yep. I'm done with modern gaming. I'm done. I don't want the next Xbox. I don't want the PS6. I never wanted it to begin with. I'm not buying the Switch 2, as I've said. I'm done with modern gaming. I'm going to do what the companies don't want you to do because it's obvious. The reason why these companies don't care about backwards compatibility, so let me explain what backwards compatibility is. The older generations would work on the newest system basically through emulation, not hardware. They're never going to make a system that would play PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4 on the next PS6. It's never going to happen. Never. Because the company is making a profit not doing that because then they can resell it to you. The perfect example is the PS3. When it came out, it had backwards compatibility. It played PS2, PS1, and PS3. Well, to save on production, they took out the ability to play PS2 and then they made it an emulator. So I had to lose out on PS2 and then rebuy PS2 games that were 10 to 15 years old at $20 each. And if you think that's not greedy, the same PlayStation account on a PS4, I bought the PS2, right? Instead of the PS2 purchases transferring to the PS4, I had to rebuy the same exact games on the PS4 that I bought on the PS3. Then I'm going to talk about PS Vita. PS Vita had a blacklist. Not a lot of people know about it. Companies always say, oh, it's compatibility issue. It wasn't compatibility issues. If anything, it's licensing agreements and region locking and all that other stuff. So with the PS Vita, even if you had PlayStation Network games such as Command and Conquer for PS1, you couldn't transfer it to the PS Vita. But Command and Conquer's on my PS3. And then some games on the PS3 could transfer to the PS Vita. How does that make any sense? Why couldn't I just take all of the games that are on my PlayStation Network and just transfer it to my PS Vita? It wasn't compatibility issues. That's one thing the companies lie about all the time. Oh, compatibility issues. If there was compatibility issues, then you're telling me that, how do I use this word? Other people are able to run your games better than the own company. I don't want to say a certain word. Because basically, you can play all the PlayStation 1 and PSP games. I had to make a European account, PS Vita, just so I can get the Crash Bandicoot and the Spyros, because in North America, the Crash Bandicoot and Spyros weren't available on the PlayStation Network. How does that make any sense? Region locking really drives me crazy too. But let's talk about the 3DS. Because the 3DS flopped how expensive it was, there was something called Ambassador Edition. The Ambassador Edition is a huge slap to loyal customers' face. Basically, investors that probably weren't even gamers got something that all the customers didn't get. They got 10 NES games, right? I could care less about that because guess what? The NES was on the eShop 3DS store. But what they did get also is 10 Game Boy Advance games. So you gave investors that are probably not even gamers something that you didn't even put on the 3DS eShop. And then they lied. They said, oh, it's compatibility issues. If it's compatibility issues, why do I have every single Game Boy Advance game I've ever wanted to work on my 3DS? Answer me that. Are you telling me that somebody else is more competent than the actual company that sells their own games? You morons. Game Boy Advance on the 3DS. You are so greedy, Nintendo. I don't have to worry about it anymore because I'm not buying, the Switch 2 or the Enhanced Edition or the scam game key cards. Oh yeah, and a PS Vita thing too. Say I bought, because at one point I did have 10 PS Vitas, and there was a reason why, but I'm not going to explain it on here. You could only activate 2 game accounts. So let me get this straight. I bought 10 of your PS Vitas, but I can only activate 2 game accounts on one account. Gotcha. Very interesting. That shows you how greedy these companies are. So on the PSP Go, which was all digital, I had to rebuy every single game I ever bought on my PSP Go if I wanted to have that game on my other PSP Go. It should have been I bought the games on the PSP Go and then I could just link the same account to the second PSP Go. These companies are greedy. And this is coming from a loyal customer for Nintendo, Sony, and Xbox. And I give a pass to Xbox because at least they tried to do backwards compatibility. Sony and Nintendo don't care about backwards compatibility. And I'm going to tell you why. What happens when you decide to play your old games and don't buy new games altogether? They're going to lose a profit. And that's what it comes down to. Not only are they preventing you from playing the older generation because there's no, newer system, right? But they can also resell it to you later for a remake or a remaster, and you have to buy it because there's no other legal way of getting these games. I'm so sick and tired of the video game industry in a whole. I told you I love Valve, I love Ambernick, and I love Pal Kitty. I'm done with modern gaming. Maybe I'll become rich because I'm not buying any of these new consoles or games. What I'm going to do is play my older generation systems that I actually enjoy and play my insane backlog. All I would do is I'd buy a game and then buy a game and then buy a game and then buy a game. You know what my son said to me? He said, Daddy, all the games you have, why don't you play any of them? And I said, Son, you want to know the truth? I don't know the answer to that. I said, I believe it's a mental thing. I believe that I collect video games because, first of all, I enjoy it. I actually enjoy collecting games more than actually playing them. I don't know how that makes sense, but I collect the video games so that I don't have to rebuy them at, insane prices. So I buy them now at a regular price instead of getting rid of it and then having to pay $400 for a game that I paid $60 for. Because eventually, what's going to happen is these physical copies are going to get hard to get and they're going to be more expensive. That's what it comes down to. Anyway, what do you guys think? Thanks for watching. Bye.